I heard somebody scream. Not too longer after that, more shots started ringing out.
A witness describes what he heard during that deadly shooting in Fredericton this morning. Gunfire rang out at an apartment complex shortly after 7 a.m. It went on for over an hour. This is special coverage of the shooting in Fredericton here on CBC News Network. I'm Rashmi Nair. Let's start with what we know at this point. 4 people have been killed, including 2 Fredericton police officers and 2 civilians. None of them have been identified at this point. There is 1 suspect in custody. Police say that suspect is being treated for serious injuries related to the shooting. A lockdown in the area of the shooting was lifted about 2 hours ago, and authorities say there is no further threat to the public. There will be a news conference with police and the mayor scheduled for 3:30 local time in Fredericton. That's 2:30 Eastern, and we will bring that to you live here on CBC News Network. The CBC's Harry Forrestal is at the scene of this shooting. He's been there since those gunshots rang out and police flooded the scene. What's it like there now, Harry?
Well, things have quieted down considerably here, Reshmi. The buildings we're focused on are 3, you can barely see all 3 of them, but 3 low-rise apartment buildings. In the background there, you might be able to see some police vehicles out front, far fewer than were here when I arrived this morning at about 9 o'clock. When I arrived at the scene, there was a security perimeter all around this neighborhood and upwards of 24 police and emergency vehicles. There was a K9 unit. There were 2 armored vehicles, one from the RCMP, the other from the Fredericton Municipal Police, RCMP cars, squad cars, and Fredericton squad cars, and ambulances. I mean, it was flashing lights all over the place. They were responding to a call of a shooting, and when they got here, there was apparently more shooting. We know, as you pointed out, Rashmi, that 2 Fredericton police officers are dead and 2 civilians are dead, 4 in total. There are several people, we're told, being treated for injuries at Chalmers Hospital. In fact, things are so busy there, Chalmers Hospital issued a call to the public to please avoid the emergency department at the hospital while they deal with injured people there. We don't know how many, we don't know the nature of the injuries yet, but we hope to find out more about that later today. So things have quieted down. The police also had an operations base across the street at a local funeral home. They have moved that on, but witnesses and residents in those buildings, some have been taken away by a city bus to be debriefed at a local arena, we understand. Others have been asked to wait here until further notice from the Fredericton police. Presumably their statements will be taken as well. But they have been speaking to us in describing a situation, a shocking situation of hearing gunfire, in some cases seeing a weapon poking out of a window of a basement apartment. In other cases, police evacuating a building, taking people out, and one woman who told us she was actually under fire as she and a police officer left the building. They had to take refuge behind a vehicle so they didn't get shot. So a situation that nobody expects on a weekday morning here in Fredericton, let alone anywhere else. The blockage by police stopped traffic coming into the city at what is normally a busy time of the day. Right now, it looks like we're in the evidence gathering stage of this, and in fact, police have come to us and asked us to be as cautious as possible about the information we reveal from eyewitnesses, because they don't want to have evidence corrupted that would impede the investigation. So we're doing our best on that front. But really, the police have provided very little practical information about what went on here today. We do expect to learn more, Reshmi, at 3:30 this afternoon. That's when we'll hear from Fredericton Police Chief Leanne Fitch and city officials about what went on here today.
Yes, Harry, and those witness accounts, the people who live in that apartment complex, who you spoke with, one woman saying she saw the shooter and you could see it in her eyes, the shock and the fear of absorbing what's happened. How are people there doing?
I think many are still really stunned by what has happened here. We talked to people earlier who tried to assist the police. When one man who looked out his window and saw the 2 dead officers on the ground, he went out to help another officer as they tried to retrieve the bodies and get them into a vehicle. The officer involved said, no, you get to safety, we'll look after this, indicated he didn't need help. And that eyewitness sought safety outside the zone, as it were. You know, this neighborhood is described by people who live there as a good neighborhood. It's not the richest neighborhood in Fredericton by any stretch. There's a neighborhood filled with single-family homes directly across the street. These 3 buildings, the inhabitants are a lot of young single people. Residents had said that, you know, it was a noisy night last night. One woman said there was a lot of banging doors and cars and that sort of thing going on. But people who live in these buildings say they're good buildings. They get along with their neighbors and don't really have any trouble with them. So to have something like this happen on a weekday morning, it truly is shocking, especially in a place like Fredericton.
Yes, and to your point with the RCMP sergeant speaking with reporters there, it is a common occurrence to have that exchange, but they are taking this extremely seriously. 2 Fredericton police officers were killed in this. Absolutely, and you know, the evidence gathering phase of the investigation is crucial. They don't want to miss anything. They don't want to have any information corrupted. But I will say this, as I've spoken to people, everybody has in the back of their mind what happened in Moncton 4 years ago, the tragic shooting of 3 RCMP officers and killing of 3 RCMP officers and wounding of 2 others. That's right back there in most people's minds. I know it is in mine. I reported on that story as well. It was shocking at the time for Moncton and for the whole province. Today is no less shocking for people living in Fredericton. This is a city of 60 to 70,000 people at its urban core. It's a peaceful place, a quiet place. People live here because it is quiet. And to have something like this happen really shatters that illusion in a sense. These events can take place anywhere, and today residents here are trying to make some sense of that in the absence of further information. All right, Harry, we appreciate you there on the scene.